Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby. Double features, double takes. This is the podcast where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present.
I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby. And today we are discussing Caught Stealing and
The Fugitive.
The Fugitive. Wrong men, wrong place, all fun.
I wrote that in. I wasn't sure if it was going to make it. Yeah, these movies are both really, really fun. I'm really excited to talk about them. Just some really great casts across the board. I think The Fugitive was nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards, which was fun. So excited to get into that a little bit more. But
yeah, we used to be a real country and the Oscars used to matter. The Oscars will always matter to me, but they used to matter like to the culture, and I really wish I was alive during that time.
Well, maybe you can be. Maybe we can bring it back.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Well, let's start off with some movie news this week. We're kind of rounding out August. It's Labor Day weekend when we're recording. Getting into September when things are slowly going to start picking back up in the box office releases. But some shorter news. The trailer for Twinless. I believe we mentioned this on last episode's podcast. This is the follow-up film from a young director named James Sweeney. He made this movie called Straight Up about a young gay man who thinks maybe I'm not gay anymore, and he enters a relationship with this woman in Los Angeles, and it's a really interesting movie about kind of relationships and like can you be in a committed relationship? Does it have to be physical? Like, can it be platonic? Right? Like, what does that look like? And so when this trailer for Twinless played, I've seen James share this on his Instagram a lot, like this movie went to Sundance and things like that. So I've been seeing the poster. It's him and Dylan O'Brien wearing little Sims green triangle or whatever those shapes are called.
Plum bobs.
Okay.
Call them by their name, Evan.
The plum bobs on their head. So I was like, okay, this is probably going to be a similar vibe to Straight Up. And when you watch the trailer, it does seem like that. It seems like James Sweeney is really interested in like the nature of relationships, like what does being in a romantic or committed partnership look like, and what different forms does that take? Specifically, the movie is about what happens when a twin loses their other twin. That's not a spoiler. It's kind of like just, you can kind of gather that from the title. Yeah. So I was watching it and I was like, oh, okay, this looks fun. Maybe like pretty similar to the first movie. And then the trailer takes a really interesting turn. So Gabby, you haven't seen this trailer yet.
I did. I watched it.
Oh, you did watch it. Okay, great. Yeah. Are you intrigued by the direction it started notching towards?
I am. Once the character just like it, the first half, you're right, of the trailer is very like almost like a rom-com, and there are jokes about it in the trailer, like, oh, is this your boyfriend? It's like, no. And Dylan O'Brien is playing maybe the straightest man I've ever seen on screen. And so I don't know how that's a possible misconception, but yeah, when it takes that turn of him asking, what's the worst thing you've ever done? I was like, oh, we're going deep. And I am suddenly, a lot more interested than I was in the beginning. Like, I like the premise, I like the setup, but I'm much more interested in this taking a darker turn, and being a movie about not just how to cope with grief, but also about maybe some inner demons that you have that you didn't share even with your twin, maybe. That's just my thoughts off the trailer. I know nothing about this movie. That's just my educated guess. So yeah, I'm definitely more interested, and I think that the trailer is well executed in that way to kind of make you lean forward and say, oh, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I will buy a ticket.
It does feel like the trailer is maybe just the first hour of the movie. I mean, I'm sure it's a short movie, but like maybe the first 45 minutes, you know.
Yeah, the setup.
Yeah. So I'm really interested. This is like, you know, it's always really interesting when you have a indie director that has a very strong vision, but also is the actor in the movie. Like that is him as the other twin,
Yes.
right? And
He's the
so
writer, he's the producer, he's the actor, he's
mhm.
the director, he does it all.
So casting a known actor, right, like Dylan O'Brien. I keep wanting to say Logan Lerman. I always get the two of them mixed
They're
up.
the same to me. I'm
Yeah, they're
sorry.
very similar. Yeah.
All of these like white brunette men, they look the same. They're the same to me.
But I think it's really interesting way to, you know, it's like you're still centered in this kind of very like authorship thing, but now you're partnering with a known actor to bring more eyes to your movie, you know. And I can't think, I mean, we've had lots of indie directors go on to, you know, quickly rise up through the studio ranks and things like that, but it's interesting to see someone who's still acting. I can't think of a recent example of like a director actor. Obviously Greta Gerwig, but not quite in the same way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm really excited for this movie. As I said, I think I maybe it was on mic, maybe it was off mic, but I really love Straight Up. I've seen it a few times. Really excited to see this film. So keeping my eye out for it.
All right.
Speaking of new films, you want to tell us about the
Ooh.
update on the Noche?
Yes, I'm very excited about this. This was like my personal movie news of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So Noche is a movie by Todd Haynes, an upcoming film that was supposed to start shooting about a year ago and was set to star Joaquin Phoenix. And then Joaquin Phoenix did a very Joaquin Phoenix thing and dropped out of the movie like 3 days before they were supposed to be filming. Like, very shitty thing to do to people who like depend on these kind of production jobs for a living. Everyone was like all set to go in Georgia. Everything was a go. And Joaquin was like, "No, I'm not going to do this movie." And the funding was pulled. And great news happened this week in that our Lord and Savior Pedro Pascal, coming off of his hot blockbuster summer, is replacing Joaquin. He has signed on to the project, joining fellow Marvel star Danny Ramirez, who was already attached. And I want to say good for Pedro. I think it's great to see him playing another prominent queer role.
Mm-hmm.
And also I want to say how much it sucks that Todd Haynes still has to kind of rely on star power to get movies made. Like, Todd Haynes is a great director. He made May December a couple years ago, which I really loved. Carol, a gay classic. I'm Not There. A ton of just amazing movies. And the fact that it has to rely so heavily on one name attaching themselves to the lead role, Todd Haynes should be able to cast whoever he wants. He should be able to cast an unknown person if he wants to. Give him the funding. Give good directors the funding.
I mean,
what I want to say.
Danny Ramirez, obviously Top Gun Maverick, Marvel, but like he's still not like a known quantity in a sense,
Right,
you know?
but maybe put him in the lead. Give him the chance. Make him the star. I don't know the nature of these roles, but you know, I feel like Todd Haynes by now should be able to have that power. And you know, if we're not giving our great directors those opportunities and it's still so dependent on star power, you know, what are we doing here? We're not making art.
I think one point of clarification too is this is still like ongoing. It's not 100% confirmed. I believe that Pedro is gonna be like there's no ink on the page, but yeah, in talks enough that this was reported pretty wide. So it feels very likely. And plus, he's got to fill his schedule. He did all those movies, and now
I feel like now he's so used to being busy now. You know?
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do with himself. Yeah,
he's done filming his 2 scenes in Avengers Doomsday, and he's like, "What do I do now?"
Oh my god! Everything about Doomsday that I'm hearing sounds so messy. Oh god!
Can't wait.
Oh, yeah. I mean, opening night, I'll still be there. Maybe not you, Gabby, but I'll be there.
I'll be there with you as a supportive friend.
Oh, thank you.
And I will understand about 50% of what's going on.
As will
And
most people.
yes, yes. And speaking of seeing things opening night,
Woo.
Evan, tell me about how you saw Caught Stealing.
Hey, I just want to give a big shout out to the XL, the AMC XL. No one knows what this is. No one's buying tickets for it. I was explaining it to someone the other day, and they said, "Oh, not Prime or Dolby or IMAX. You're seeing something in the XL. Isn't that just a bigger screen, but not a premium format?" And I said, "Yeah, but you know what? Every Thursday night, I gotta record Back to the Future podcast with Gabby over the weekend. XL saves my life. Always gives me a good seat." I saw this opening night, I believe or Thursday night previews. I think the second or third showing that day. Sat pretty far back this time. I normally don't sit like in those last three rows in the theater, you know, like where there's like the front section, the middle section, and the far back section that's like broken up with like seating places, you know. So I sat way far back for this, and I thought it was still pretty good, and I like that I could stretch my legs. Was not taking a seat for where a wheelchair person would go. That's not what was happening.
Good clarification.
But it was that row.
Good clarification.
But people who were there were really excited. I was sitting next to an older man who was there by himself, who this movie, like we teased in the beginning, is pretty fun. And anytime some of those big moments would happen, he would just go, "Nice." And it was pretty fun to hear him react to it. I was pretty tempted to start a conversation with him afterwards, but I'm still like not 100% there in my like solo movie going experience to talk to the person next to me. I don't know how you feel about that situation in general.
No, but maybe this podcast will eventually give us the juice to do that. Maybe we can do a man on the street segment of just talking to people at the AMC 16.
Oh my God. Yeah. A totally original thought no one's ever done before.
Of course. Nobody's had that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I also did see something. I thought of you. I saw something not Caught Stealing, but I saw a movie in the XL. I saw Honey Don't.
Oh.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Honey Don't because we both saw that.
Covering. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But we're a movie that we're not covering. But a movie that Margaret Qualley did everything she could in. Good for her.
Yeah.
I saw Caught Stealing an early preview, so kind of before the week before its release, even. Oh, yeah. My friend Sam, shout out Sam, got an entourage together to go see this movie early, and it was just regular old digital projection, no premium format, but it was pretty crowded. Mm-hmm. People seemed excited. It wasn't like the most responsive crowd, which I didn't take as a sign of anything from the movie, but yeah, it's not as fun. You know, it's more fun to sit next to the old man being like, "Oh yeah."
It definitely elevated the movie for me. I mean, there's a lot of things with this movie that I did struggle with, which I'm curious to hear how you felt about the movie overall, and which we're about to get to. But yeah, I will say, shout out the old man. Yeah.
Let's have him as a guest. Bring him on.
You know what? That's what we should do. Maybe that's the segment. Maybe it's we just record audio of the person we're sitting next to and be like, "Hey, I do this thing. It's really goofy with the podcast, blah, blah, blah. But would you want to give your take about the movie, and we'll play it and we'll respond to it and we'll shout you out."
Oh,
yeah.
That's
I mean, you can record a video.
Thought.
I mean, we could be like selfie video, you know, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think just a pure audio is pretty funny because then I could play it as like a soundboard thing, and we're like, well, we'll see.
That's a more original thought. See, this is why we're partners.
Well, we're also partners because we have to discuss whether or not Austin Butler gets lip fillers.
Oh my God. Thank you for making space for this. As soon as I got out of this movie, I texted Evan, "Caught Stealing, fine movie. Do we think Austin Butler gets lip filler?" And I know that the answer is probably no. Like, I think that's just God's gift to him, is that he has like the perfect Cupid's bow pouty lip going on. But there are some close-up shots of him in this movie where he's doing the pout. And I had the thought, I was like, is he doing just like a little enhancement? Is he doing just a little like, you know, shaping? What's going on here?
Yeah.
You have to ask. You have to ask with a man that like conventionally beautiful if there's little extra work going on, maintenance.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, just because, I mean, he came up as like a child star, right? He was on like iCarly,
Oh
and like he
yeah.
was on Nickelodeon stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that, like, at least cosmeticness is built. It's like, hey, this is an attractive guy. Like, he's an attractive
Yes.
young man, and he will go on to be even more attractive. But
Hmm.
there's certain considerations maybe of like what the expectation is.
Hey, Brotox is a big trend right now in the old Hollywood. If I don't know if you've noticed, but there are men that are getting Botox, getting like a jaw enhancements. It's a thing for men too. Don't let anyone tell you it's not.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I believe it.
Evan, are you considering it? Are you considering Brotox as I tell you about it?
I don't think so. Think I'm looking pretty cherubic at 30, 31.
Yeah, I
The
I
most
would agree.
confident yeah in
I
the
would
world.
agree.
Okay. Well, let's get into Caught Stealing. This movie was released August 29th, 2025, directed by Darren Aronofsky. You might know him from Requiem for a Dream or Black Swan or Mother. Written by Charlie Houston, based on a book by the same name, also by Charlie Houston. Produced by Jeremy Dawson, Dylan Goldino, Ari Handel, and Darren Aronofsky.
Starring Austin Butler, Regina King, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, Liev Schreiber, Vincent D'Onofrio, Bad Bunny, Griffin Dunn, and Carol Kane, with a very fun voice cameo by the one and only Laura Dern.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we started. I was like, "Who is that? It's killing me." Like, I know this voice, and Gabby was like, "I knew who it was immediately."
I know that voice anywhere, Evan.
um, yeah. So this is a what was Darren Aronofsky's most recent movie? I'm blanking at the moment. Was it Mother? No.
No, he definitely had something in between that didn't hit.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Oh, it's The Whale. The Whale.
Oh, The Whale, right. Big
The
movie.
Whale.
Sorry. It hit very an interesting kind of like middle ground, I feel like, of like his stylistic sensibilities
I
in a
mean,
sense,
I
right?
feel like that movie has its fans. I am
Yeah.
not one of them.
Same.
I'm a big Brendan Fraser fan. Happy for him. But no, that movie does not work for me at all. And I think we're in the majority. I think that there are just a lot of Darren Aronofsky heads out there that were like, no, this is art. And I was like, no, not, try again.
Go watch a play.
Try again.
But this movie is very interesting. It was kind of a slightly heightened reality, but also just like pretty straightforward. Like, this is what it is, it's about a Austin Butler plays Henry Hank Thompson, a kind of washed up high school baseball player who's living in New York, kind of bartending, making his way through life. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time with where his neighbor, played by Matt Smith, as Russ, kind of like gets him involved very inadvertently, which we can talk about, in some really interesting dealings in the kind of New York drug trafficking underground. So Gabby, what were your thoughts about Caught Stealing?
I had similar thoughts to you. You had expressed that you just kind of had trouble sinking into it, but that it was fun. I did have fun. I don't think there's anything wrong with this movie. It just feels off. Like, something about it just felt off to me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite put my finger on if it was the performances, on if it was the pacing maybe, but I think there's something to the idea that this is an Aronofsky movie that's trying to not be an Aronofsky movie, perhaps. You know, as you mentioned, this is the guy who's best known for Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream and Mother, a movie that I personally loathe. But it's different. It's very different from those movies, just on its face, like there's nothing wrong with a director trying to do something different and go to a different zone. Apparently Aronofsky was trying to make this movie a long time ago as well, and it just didn't come together. But something about the tone didn't sit right with me, and I think it is the pacing for me, that it just felt wonky somehow in the pacing of it.
I agree with all those sentiments. I also had some issues with the character of Henry Thompson. There's some stuff I struggled with where, and like some of the way that it was executed. That being said, I think there's been some chatter online about Austin Butler potentially being miscast for this role. How'd you feel about that?
I'm not sure, but he's miscast. I think he's capable of doing what the movie asks of him. I just think the movie is asking him to play a character if it doesn't necessarily fit with the rest of the story, which, you know, I know this is a book, and I did see this movie with some friends who had read the book and told me that there were some differences, and I wonder if that's one of them. I should have asked, but I think that my feeling for this, this is also adapted by the author of the book, so I imagine that the character differences aren't that stark, and that it was more story differences. The one difference that my friend did tell me about was revolving around the reveal of the Regina King character, which I thought was interesting. But the character that Austin Butler is playing is supposed to be this very squeaky clean kind of mama's boy. Like you said, wrong place, wrong time. He's a former athlete. And I think Austin Butler is capable of playing those things, but I think that this movie needs him to break bad a little bit earlier than he does. By the time he ends up embroiled in this and like going all in to get himself out of it, it feels too late, and it feels like a little bit random. There's not enough build up to it. It just feels like, and it is kind of the mama's boy thing where like once they, you know, they threaten his mother, or they like say they have his mom's address, he suddenly is like going all out, all in. And I would like to get into spoilers to go into this next bit. So Spoilerville, Population U.
I would say if you're looking for a fun time at the movies, if you're a fan of any of the actors in this cast, go check it out. Like I wouldn't say like have the, you know, don't expect that this is from the director of Black Swan or Requiem
You're just
for a
gonna have a
Dream.
good time at the movies.
This feels a little bit more like the Ocean's movies in a certain sense. This feels like a kind of like maybe a typical action thriller, which is shot a little bit more gritty, you know, and the set pieces are maybe not as big as you would hope, but like there's some fun character moments. So that's it. So yeah, I mean we're taking blinkers on, taking the right into Spoilerville, Population U.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you want to spoil here?
What I want to spoil is the role of Zoe Kravitz in this movie. Zoe Kravitz, one of the hottest women alive, a good actress. This is kind of a thankless role for her. Yeah,
100%.
I thought she was dialing it in quite a bit personally. I don't think she was like her heart was in it, but she dies very quickly into this movie. She is Austin Butler's love interest. She has a couple of scenes with him where it's kind of like they're defining the relationship, and she's kind of saying that she needs to be with somebody more serious or something like that. And then, you know, he goes to her with something more serious and she is killed because of it. And I just thought that beat of the movie kind of got lost, and that needed to be the moment where he is galvanized. And I know that Hank is traumatized in that moment, that this is the first person in a line of many that he cares about that is dead because of this, you know, scheme that he's involved in through no fault of his own. But I thought that could have been a better moment for him to kind of, you know, go into revenge mode, go into action revenge mode. And that beat it gets lost until the very end of the movie when he, you know, in order to take down the real big bad of this movie, he has to team up with these two Orthodox Jewish men played by Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio. They're very funny.
Yeah.
But he totally forgets that they are the ones who killed Zoe Kravitz. Like his character just like blanks that in order to get rid of, the people chasing him. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, you guys killed my girlfriend. I'm going to make sure that you die in a car crash.
Yeah.
It just feels like an afterthought. And I think that it's too late.
Yeah. Just to go beat by beat during that, right? Like, I think what her death does galvanize him to do is to go call the cops, which he's threatened not to do. However, what we quickly find out, and I think what the movie is hoping that we kind of compartmentalize that Zoe Kravitz's death away, is that Regina King is playing like a dirty cop in this sense. So even if he does call the cops, ultimately that beat doesn't even matter, which is I think maybe a little bit of where we're responding from too. I do agree. I was about to push back. I was like, well, he doesn't know. I was like, oh no, that's right. Regina King tells him that.
No, he knows.
It's not Bad Bunny's character. It's not Colorado. That's who Bad Bunny plays. It's not Colorado who killed your girlfriend. It is Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, because
the brothers,
they are the bad guys, So you're right. Like, I do think that there isn't ever a huge light switch moment. It does feel like Henry is making these like kind of like small little things. He's like, maybe I can get them to do this, maybe I can manipulate people to do this, and he's making these decisions. We see it happen very like subtly and passively, which I think is interesting, but it doesn't align with what we were describing him as, which is supposed to be this like squeaky clean type of guy, right? This is someone who he is running away from the fact that he killed his best friend in a car crash, which also ruined his chances of being a professional athlete. He's running away from that fact. And so what he's done in response to that is not only become like an alcoholic, but he's also following as many rules as possible, right? There's a scene very early on in the movie where people are dancing in the bar. There was probably some law in New York around the time where it's like it's a bar versus club distinction. He's like, you can't dance in here, blame Giuliani. And he like literally has everyone take shots so that they don't dance in that bar anymore. And we see him like put your seatbelt on because he's being traumatized. All that being said, we don't get enough of that version of him, I think, in contrast with where he ends up, and that middle ground where he starts making these calculated decisions, and just the fact that Austin Butler has played very complex characters in his kind of recent prominence in years, and he's got a very interesting look, right? Very handsome, but he also is like, there's something else going on here that like, maybe it feels like, is he already working with an ulterior motive way earlier than when he decides to do that, So I agree, Gabby. I do think just the image of him plus the plot hole of Zoe Kravitz's death, and what a shame, because I really did think maybe it was like a fake out.
No.
Plus his
the trailer wants you to think that this is half a rom-com. So
that's true.
I mean, they're playing up the Zoe Kravitz element, but they fridge her, pretty early. So this is a storytelling trope where a female character is harmed or killed specifically to motivate a male protagonist's story and personal development. And it comes from a comic book term where apparently like a character's girlfriend, I believe, was literally put in a fridge, and it's called fridging. It happens a lot. Now that you know the term, you will notice it in a lot of movies. That's exactly what they do to Zoe Kravitz in this movie.
But then again, it's like not even like done well.
Right. It's like a half fridge. It's a mini fridge. Mini fridging.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. So other things about this that I found interesting was like, I've been thinking about this movie a lot since I saw it a couple days ago, where I was like, did I have trouble sinking in because of all the points that we discussed already? Or was it because I just couldn't buy the world and how, like, I mean, it's like not necessarily confusing or not necessarily even like that heightened. When you boil it down, it's just different people in a drug trafficking scenario. They just want their payout. That's all it is, right? And also, none of this would have happened if Zoe Kravitz never moved the litter box, which is crazy, right?
So funny,
that's why I thought she was in on it. I was that there was a fake out and she was in on it. Like Russ never, it was never Russ's plan to have Harry be the fall guy, you know?
No, and I mean, the cat plays a critical role in this movie. Shout out to that cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not part of the plan to get him involved at all. And in fact, his involvement messes everything up.
Yeah, it's purely coincidental.
Everything would have gone to plan. But now that you mentioned the Russ character, I think that's another thing that the trailer kind of tries to sell more is Matt Smith's involvement in this movie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And Matt Smith is not in this movie a lot. No. He's not.
They probably had him for like 3 days, you know?
Yeah. his presence is felt, but yeah, he's not in it, and his character is a little bit muddy.
Yeah.
You know, he comes back, and I did think that I did laugh. It was an interesting twist. I mean, he leaves early on in the movie, and he leaves his cat with Hank.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes, but he says that he has to go back to London because his father has had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone assumes that that's a lie. Like all of these people that come after Russ, you know, the Russians, the brothers, Regina King, everyone who's coming after him, they're like, that's a lie. He's on the run. He has our money, blah, blah, blah. And then he comes back and he's like, my dad's dead. And he has like a tattoo that says dad on his chest. And I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. But that twist worked better for me than any of the other twists in the movie. That his dad actually died. But when he comes back and he does show Hank like all of this money, as you can see behind me, if you're watching us on YouTube, that he keeps in a storage unit, you know, that's kind of the moment, the mini moment when Hank is galvanized, when he sees what all of this is about and how his anger that Russ has kind of inadvertently pulled him into this really boils over.
But then
in that moment,
what doesn't make sense is that Russ decides he's going to kill Henry. I keep saying Henry. Then Henry hits him with a baseball bat or something, knocks him out, and then they're just fine. They're just fine after that for another 40 minutes.
He's too fine.
Yeah.
He's too fine.
And then he gives him like a brain aneurysm or a brain hemorrhage, and he kills Russ. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
again, Spoilerville, Russ does eventually die from his head injury, but he's too okay for a lot of that time. And also like there's a whole chase scene that happens and he's just like, he's not like lucid, but he's okay. He's better than you would picture after you get hit by a baseball bat at full force.
And there must have been a deleted scene of them like being like, are we cool? We're not gonna like sell it, you know, whatever. Like, this is so odd. I don't know.
Yeah, their relationship, I think, also could have, I would have had some notes on either making them better friends or, you know, something like that, because it just feels too loose. Mm-hmm. Like it feels too coincidental, you know, like I'm not sure that I would, you know, even be on the list to watch one of my neighbor's animals if they were gone. You know, I feel like they needed to make them, you know, closer in order for this to sting.
Listen,
the way that it does.
We weren't there. New York in the 90s, different time. People were
actually, I was there in New York in the 90s. I was born there and I was like 4 years old.
Yeah, and I drove by this all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was born into Giuliani's New York. Don't you tell me otherwise, Evan.
What was I going to say, though, on that note? And, you know, we were talking screenwriting, or we were talking literary terms before, Fridging. Save the cat, a phrase that is used literally to the actual extreme in this movie. We know that no matter what Henry does, he's a good guy because he saves Russ's cat at every possible turn, even though he ostensibly doesn't like cats.
No, he says earlier in the movie, Zoe Kravitz is the one that's like, I like cats, I'll watch the cat. And he's like, I like dogs.
Iconic trailer line because it's a reference to her being Catwoman in the Batman, of course.
Of course, yes. Who could forget? But yeah, a save the cat is definitely at play here. Even that one moment in the movie where they have the cat, like he's going to get this key for Regina King and Bad Bunny and the Russians that holds the money, that holds it's a key to the storage unit where the money is, even though he doesn't know that yet. And he's like, give me the cat. And they're like, no, the cat stays with us. And then like he gets on the phone with them and he's like, I have the key. I want the cat. It's such a,
I mean, in a way,
intense line reading.
The cat becomes some type of memory of Zoe Kravitz's character in a sense. It's being very, very generous because I don't think the movie...
That's extremely generous of you, and I think that you're still just stuck on the Catwoman of it all.
I like cats. Every time that trailer line happens, I'm like crazy. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, what I will say, just zooming out again, thinking about this world and the things that happen and the characters that populate it, it almost reminded me of what I wanted more out of Edgar Wright's Baby Driver. I wanted that world to be bigger. And this is like an interesting way to take what is we are, working in an illegal part of whatever, but like blowing that out in the sense of seeing more facets of New York. Like there's this great chase through Chinatown, more characters from different communities that are interacting in this space. And I was like, oh, that could have been interesting if we could have understood the mechanics behind the world, what was happening in Baby Driver. Because for as convoluted as this movie does get, you do get it. There's just like, there's 3 to 4 interested parties. They want money because of drugs. That's basically it. It's mostly all done in Matt Smith doing exposition at the end, towards the ends of the movie. But regardless, you're kind of like, it's cool that I was like, I'm trying to figure this out. This is interesting,
I want to ask, speaking of, the interested parties, I want to ask how Regina King worked for you in this movie.
I thought it was interesting that she kills Bad Bunny. I thought that was interesting because it was like, okay, she is like a dirty cop, so to speak, but still has like a specific like moral ground that she has, that she doesn't necessarily want to see like innocents die. Obviously that gets thrown out the window within minutes, but
that's not a sticking point for her.
Yeah, but there is like, she isn't happy with the way that he's running the operation to a certain degree, so she decides to take it into her own hands. I like the immediate twist in the diner. I mean, I could feel it coming. But then her commitment to it, at some point I would have just walked away, like she really was fixated on this being like a meal ticket. And I forgot exactly how, what was it that Matt Smith says is that he was trying to be an informant and then she was going to sell him out. That part is tricky about how she does get involved, but yeah.
Yeah, like she needs a fall guy for all of this. And he was going to be, and he figured out that he was going to be the fall guy.
Okay.
And that's part of why he was trying to cut her out of this deal. But yeah, that diner scene is pretty good. Yes, saw the twist coming also, but I think she's effective. I think Regina King can do no wrong. She's a fantastic actress. But yeah, for some reason, I just didn't buy her like commitment to this. And why she, like, at some point it has to be about more than money. And I know that, like, it would have made the movie even more convoluted and longer if we had gone into any other motivations of hers. But I feel like it could have been as simple as her job is on the line, her reputation is on the line. Like, she is involved in all of this. But if she doesn't bring in the fall guy, if she doesn't, get Hank to be the fall guy now that Russ is dead or whatever, like, not only does she lose the money, but she loses her job and she ends up being exposed as a dirty cop. Like, I feel like that motivation needed to be clearer.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she seemed like she was just in it for the money, and how, she says to him in that diner scene that she just wants to kind of take the money and run and retire. And girl, we all do. We all would love that. We would love that.
Yeah.
But I think that, yes, money is like a classic clean motivator in many, many films. It's relatable. Mm-hmm. It's, easy to understand. But I think that this character, it got to a point with me where I was like, she has to want something else. Like, she needs to be embroiled in something else. Otherwise, she's just, she's one note. She's dirty cop. And I want more for Academy Award winner Regina King.
Yeah. 100. Yeah, I agree. Those are some really great points that we just needed more for her, because it just felt convenient to be like, of course this is bad, This we didn't mention this earlier, but this book is actually part of like a trilogy, I believe. Like, this character goes on to do more things.
I did not know this,
which is interesting, because as much as I didn't love the like, oh, he has a sad backstory type thing, I was like, I don't know. I guess I know why we need it, but do we need it, right? I personally love the idea that this dude was so good at baseball that's why he can run away like this, and why he can punch out the crazy Russian microbe guy. Like, when that scene happens, because microbe is this like a very intense force of the whole movie. He keeps headbutting people, but Austin Butler takes him out, 2 punches, and it's like, okay, we had a 30-second shot of him nailing home runs at the batting cage. He then never uses a bat after that, I'm pretty sure.
No,
but it's just to get him dialed in. It's just to get him in the zone,
I needed that scene earlier. I needed him at the batting cages earlier. I needed like that to be where Zoe Kravitz finds him or something like that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Like, to show that she knows him and to show that he's stressed out. Like, I needed to see him with swinging that bat with full force before he starts using it as a weapon.
Mm-hmm. Because
that's just a little note that I have.
Because we don't even really know, like, we get that scene where he's blackout and he's like, do you know how much potential I had? And you're like, I don't know, this guy's kind of sad now. Like, this is like when I talk about my high school band, like
I could have had it all.
I could have had it all. So yeah, it's very, very interesting overall. I'm curious if they'll do a sequel to this.
I think that's going to be completely box office and reception dependent, but
yeah,
I don't know how confident they are in this movie, because it feels a little bit like it's being dumped on a long day weekend.
Yeah, it
does. Like as we said, usually a Darren Aronofsky movie is a selling point, but I feel like they're almost burying that for this movie. I think in part because it's not his regular audience. I think they're trying to go mainstream with this, and they're trying to play more off of the Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz appeal, but it feels a little bit like it's being dumped for Labor Day weekend, and I'm not sure why that is. Like, it is a fun movie. I think it could have carried its own weekend without a bigger release, without a Superman or a Fantastic Four attached, but I'm not sure how confident they are in sequel potential if they're dumping the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I guess, all right, I guess it'll be interesting to see how this movie continues to perform, if there'll be some word of mouth around it. But
I hope so. I think it's a good time. It's if you like action movies, if you like very beautiful men, getting a little beat up, a little bruised, a little ouchies, then yeah.
Little ouchies. Well, speaking of beautiful men and getting a little bruised and a little ouchies, I think that's a great way to talk about our pairing with this movie, The Fugitive, starring Harrison Ford. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. We'll be right back. And we're back, joined by Tommy Lee Jones behind me and Harrison Ford behind Gabby, to talk about The Fugitive. If you're just listening, those are just our backgrounds. They are not here. We're not recording an interview with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. But what if just like unexpectedly for a very small podcast to get to the two huge gets. Pretty big.
I mean, open invitation if they want to come discuss a double feature of their choice. Get in touch.
Get in touch. Anyways, we are talking about The Fugitive, released August 6th, 1993, directed by Andrew Stewart, written by Jeb Stewart and David Toohey, based on the television series also called The Fugitive and produced by Arnold Kopelson.
Starring Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones, Cella Ward, Joe Pantoliano, Andreas Katsoulas, and Julianne Moore.
And a very young Jane Lynch.
Very young Jane Lynch.
Jane
Pivotal
Lynch
role
cameo.
for Jane Lynch.
Somebody on Letterboxd, I think, was like, Jane Lynch is in this longer than Julianne Moore is. And I was like, debatable. But Julianne Moore did receive really high billing for how much she was in the movie.
It's a low role, but she is unforgettable.
I mean, she's looking incredible in it.
She's, this movie, another movie with hot people, groundbreaking stuff.
Send me to the hospital.
Put me on that gurney.
Some really hacks. Say I have a deviated whatever it was.
Whatever that kid had in his chest.
But it wasn't, and it was wrong because he had to go get brain surgery.
He saved his life.
The
Fugitive was nominated, as we mentioned, for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Tommy Lee Jones took home the award for Best Supporting Actor in this film. Well deserved. Harrison Ford was tragically robbed of even a nomination, but he got to rock a beard, which he should be able to do more often.
I mean, I don't know. What's Harrison Ford doing in this movie? He's reading papers. He's fucking jumping off cliffs.
What are you talking about? His wife was murdered. He's single-handedly investigating to overturn his, wrongful accusation of killing his hot wife. Who among us would not do this?
To quote Tommy Lee Jones in this movie, I don't care. But it's just incredible stuff from the two of them across the board. Some really
it's
really
a chess match.
Yeah.
It's a complete chess match between them. This whole movie, and it's riveting. It is propulsive. It is a top tier action movie.
Yeah. So before we get into some of the movie details and how we felt about it, in terms of our box office battle here, we don't have much data on Caught Stealing yet, just because while we're recording, it just came out. It's expected to make just under 10 million. But The Fugitive was a sensation, like Gabby said, an Oscar winner, and had certified movie star in it. Obviously, made a whopping $368.9 million in 1993. Caught Stealing, lucky to break 100. I don't think we're getting even close to that. But it's hard to argue with an absolute sensation. Yeah, true. Very, very true. Its reported budget was 40 million. The Fugitive was, Caught Stealing was 40 million. But maybe it'll at least make that back.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But we chose this movie not just because they are both about handsome men on the run, embroiled in crimes that they did not commit. Although in The Fugitive, we don't know right away that Dr. Richard Kimball did not kill his wife.
That's true, yeah.
The movie kind of wants you to think maybe he did, but we have a hunch because Harrison Ford I feel like just going off of the actor, he doesn't play a lot of villains. He doesn't play a lot of bad guys. He is an everyman, he's known for playing the hero. We have a hunch. And both of these movies, as we mentioned, fridge their love interest for the growth of the squeaky clean protagonist. And they both fall into a very specific genre that I like to call guilty until proven innocent movies.
Yeah, that's a good link there. Both of these guys are constantly just trying to find out how to get out of this. With Harrison Ford taking a little bit more of a proactive approach in The Fugitive.
Yeah, well, but the Fugitive is so, as I said before, propulsive in that it convicts Dr. Richard Kimball almost immediately into this movie. Less than 20 minutes in, he's going to prison. He's going to the electric chair, like lethal injection. Like he's been sentenced to death for killing his wife. And again, the movie wants you to think that there is some chance that he did it, but he is adamant from the start that not only did he not kill his wife, but a one-armed man who broke into his home did kill his wife. And I gotta be honest, if I'm one of the cops and somebody tells me that, like, no, I didn't kill my wife, a one-armed man did, I'm probably gonna convict him too. I'm gonna book him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's unreasonable.
Yeah. But instead of saving cats throughout this movie, to prove that Harrison Ford's character is a good guy, he's saving human lives constantly.
Yes, he's a doctor.
So I don't know what relationship you have with this movie, Gabby, but my only relationship with The Fugitive at large was when my friend Raymond, who is the host of the Cinemathology podcast and previously the Show Me the Meaning podcast, Raymond and I were attempting to start a podcast where we watched all the Quibi series before Quibi went belly up. And so Quibi had adapted The Fugitive for their series starring Boyd Holbrook as the kind of fugitive character. Boyd Holbrook does not play a doctor. Boyd Holbrook just plays like a banker, basically. He's just like an investment banker. So I think there is some parts I've completely flushed that whatever happens in that movie just out of my head, except for there's one moment where they're in Echo Park and I was like, oh, there's Echo Park. But regardless, in that movie, Boyd Holbrook doesn't have a lot of things he can do to actively help other people besides just like be a generally good guy, right? Whereas in this movie, Richard Kimball has the choice to further his distance away with the cops versus the U.S. Marshal, or save a human's life. And every time he basically chooses to save a human's life. He saves the officer who's accompanying them on the bus ride when no one else would, even his partner, his other police officer. He saves a child in a hospital, even though it really it kind of blows his cover. And there's another moment I think that where that happens as well that I'm blanking on. But he's genuinely always making the better choice,
Right. We believe that this is a good person, and it does lead you to be on his side. It works. It's very effective. You're on his side in this movie, and you want vengeance on his behalf. And we don't really get to know the wife character very much. This movie does employ one of my least favorite tropes, which is flashbacks of the dead wife. And
a flashback sex scene.
Yeah.
I think it's not even it might not even be an actual moment they had. That might have just been what he was looking forward to getting home to. Yes.
No, there's no like verbal flashbacks. Like they're not discussing their love for each other. They're just going at it. And more power to them. I mean, his wife, like one of her only lines in the beginning before she is brutally murdered is how good Harrison Ford looks in a tux. And I'm like, I'm there, sister. I'm with you. I too would be setting up rose petals on the staircase for Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
But we're on his side in a way that I think Caught Stealing wants us to be on Hank's side. And Caught Stealing makes the distinction of showing us very early on that Hank is not responsible for this. Like, there's no way he could be embroiled in this. But The Fugitive leaves that specter of a doubt, even though we, as the audience, have a pretty good idea that it's not true. This movie is, also notable for, we mentioned the Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford dynamic, which is something that I'm wondering now if you think that it would have added more to Caught Stealing if Regina King's character had that relationship with Hank.
Maybe. I mean, part of the fun of Caught Stealing is that it's more of like this like menagerie of characters than it is like a singular antagonist in a sense. But
That's true.
I don't know. I think the movie overall could have benefited from a more consistent presence in that way, maybe, if there was one person who we knew was like paragon good, which is what Tommy Lee Jones' character is supposed to be, right? He's like, I don't care what the Chicago PD did, like we are just with the and he literally, right, the iconic line of saying I don't care to Harrison Ford, they killed your wife, like my job is to just get you back. That's and there's no ulterior motive. That's the only thing, is to get him back into prison. So having someone that is like straight, like that is their goal, maybe would have helped, you know, whereas everyone is like presented as like having these like ulterior motives, and like who might double cross who, will everything be fine with everybody if everyone just gets their money, you know, who knows, and
yeah, no, but the simplicity of this U.S. Marshal that Tommy Lee Jones plays is part of the strength of the movie. That he is at all costs just trying to track down Dr. Richard Kimball. Doesn't matter what he did or didn't do. And it is up to Dr. Richard Kimball himself, the fugitive on the run, to leave these kind of breadcrumbs for the police, for the U.S. Marshals to see that he did not do this, to clear his own name. Yeah. And it's kind of brilliant. And it also something that could not be done today. You would never get away with this. In this movie, Harrison Ford like steals a hospital janitor's badge to get into the hospital, and then he like kind of goes like Michael's craft store with an X-Acto knife and just puts like a little passport picture of him on it and a different name. The person who he steals the ID from, his last name is Ruiz, and Harrison Ford does not look like a Ruiz to me. But it works, and he poses as a janitor at this hospital to get access to records of anyone with a prosthetic arm appendage, and he finds them. He finds this person. He tracks them down, and you know, through a series of really close calls and asking for help from some of his other doctor friends who worked at that hospital, who are aware that he is out here trying to prove his innocence, he does it, and it leads to this absolutely like jaw-dropping scene to me where Dr. Richard Kimball goes into the apartment of the one-armed man. He has found him. And he finds photographs, like back when we got photos developed, of the one-armed man and a doctor that he worked with. And he realizes that the doctors that he called peers at the beginning of this movie have set him up and have, you know, not only inadvertently framed him, but wanted him dead, not his wife. They wanted him to die because he knew too much about Big Pharma.
There's a great line that he has that is never answered, where he asks Dr. Riley Nichols, who is who ends up being like the main kind of antagonist. He's like, why Helen, or why my wife? And it's never answered. It literally, they don't answer that question. It was that she
because it's not supposed to be her.
Literal
it's wrong
collateral.
Place, wrong time.
Yeah. So I love that moment too, that scene in the end when everything is finally resolved. That scene where they're kind of hunting each other down in the laundry room is incredible, because like you have no idea where to place these characters in space or in time, and yet it all is so riveting. Like it doesn't even matter that you don't know who is where, because that's not the point. The point is like emotionally, can these characters reconcile with each other, and can they stop the actual guy? Are Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford about to be on the same side? And they are, because we see Harrison Ford again make the right choice, which is to stop Nichols from shooting Tommy Lee Jones. But when the camera goes back at him, the first thing he says to Tommy Lee Jones' character is, they killed my wife. And you get this, suddenly you get this image that this man who has been on this like dogged mission, it was never about running away, right? Like we know that it was to solve his wife's murder, but it was such singularly his focus that it is all that has defined him for the last however many days or weeks it has been since he jumped off that
he
train.
hasn't even he hasn't grieved, he hasn't mourned, he is just trying to prove himself an innocent man. And at multiple turns in this movie, he does have the opportunity to hurt or kill somebody else. Like during that chase you mentioned, he's on the rooftop with Dr. Nichols. He's holding him over like an edge. He could drop him. But he said he's not, like, this is the man responsible for his wife's death. And he still is like, nope, I'm just going to punch you out and make sure that, that you're alive so that my name can be cleared, and I'm not going to kill you. Yeah. But that scene that you mentioned is so satisfying that it's the first thing he says is that they killed my wife, and Tommy Lee Jones just says, I know. Yeah. And
he's quoting Han Solo in Star Wars. He says, I know. A classic line. Classic.
And it just is so satisfying in that moment, because the puzzle has been put together. This kind of convoluted puzzle. I mean, I do think this movie does a good job of getting into the weeds of figuring out, like, Harrison Ford puts this puzzle together with the one-armed man that killed his wife, and he calls it a puzzle. Like, he calls Tommy Lee Jones from the one-armed man's apartment, and Iconic leaves the phone running so that they can trace it. Yeah. And find all of the evidence and the photos. And Harrison Ford pieces this together, but it's all because of some drug that his colleagues want approved, that Harrison Ford had
he'd been sending back
proven to be not effective or harmful even. Yeah. And they have too much, this pharmaceutical company, Devlin McGregor. Can you get a more menacing sounding big pharma company? Devlin McGregor. They need this drug to work because they made something like $1 billion investment. And so, Harrison Ford is just in the way of that success, and he was meant to die. And I guess they were okay with him going to prison for his wife's murder as a second bet. They're like, he can't talk there, and who's going to listen to him? Exactly. And I think that if this movie had gone any more into the weeds of the Devlin McGregor drug testing kind of thing, it would have been too convoluted in the way that Caught Stealing kind of gets in those weeds.
And in a way that I think a lot of modern thrillers have this problem too, is that they feel like they need to get in the weeds and get these details and like blah, blah, blah. And like, it really just does feel like, it's like, I don't know, take a page out of the Fugitive book. Like, keep it pretty simple.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, if it's not relevant to the story, I don't need the whole backstory. I just need to know that there was a reason. And, the Fugitive keeps it clean. There was a reason, and that's it. Yeah.
Well, another fun link about both these movies, they both shot very practically. Obviously, The Fugitive, partially because of the time, right? Early 90s, but shot all around Chicago. Looks incredible. Caught Stealing, shot in New York, and it looks really good. They, for the physical media heads, they recreated the Kim's video, video rental sign for literally a 2-second cameo.
2 seconds.
But it looks great. Both movies feel so tactile and physical. Obviously, the opening set piece of the train hitting the bus on the tracks, huge set piece for the time. Practical effect. Not miniatures or anything. They just actually crashed it into. Apparently, they had 4 cameras set up. And I'm more than 4 cameras. They had like 9 cameras set up, but specifically 4 of them. When the impact happened, they fully lost 3 of them, but one of the cameras was VistaVision filming it, and so they had to pull it out of the wreckage. And I think the producer was saying, it's like, yeah, the DP or the camera operator who was there until like 8:30 in the morning uncovering the camera, but it all worked. Like everything was fine. The film was great, but
and thank God it did, because that scene is incredible to watch even now.
Also, when the helicopter like lands in front of the tunnel is so sick, you know.
The whole tunnel scene, the dam scene. I mean, that I think is the scene that people think of when they think of this movie. It is the I don't care scene. And also just Harrison Ford taking a dive off of this tunnel into a dam that, I mean, the cops note pretty quickly, like, he's dead, right? Like, he's gotta be dead. And I mean, I would think he would be.
But Big Dog's never wrong.
But this is a movie. And Harrison Ford characters don't die unless Harrison Ford specifically puts it in his contract. A la Force Awakens.
Yeah, sorry.
He was Force Awakens, kill spoilers. Me.
Yeah, I mean, so many great lines, right, coming out of that too, right, where Tommy Lee Jones is like talking to, like, he's telling everyone, like, go fish him out, like, go find the fish who ate him, you know.
My God, yeah.
And then when they prove that he's alive, he's like, big dog's never wrong. But also when they go hunt down the other prisoner and they get him, and he shoots the prisoner in the house, he almost kills one of his other U.S. Marshals. He's like, my hearing's like messed up. Like, I don't think I have permanent damage. He's like, oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me talking to you right now? He's like, yeah. And he just goes, I don't. And I thought he was gonna say miss, and he goes, bargain. And he says it with a little smile, and I was like, dang, this is awesome. This is really fun.
That's an underrated moment from this movie. Yeah. Like, I think there are so many great Tommy Lee moments in this movie, but they all get overshadowed by I don't care, but I don't bargain. Chef's kiss.
Good. Yeah.
So good.
It was
I love this movie. You were talking a little bit last week when we spoke about The Parent Trap, how they don't make them like this anymore. Yeah. And that's true. Like, why don't we make these tactile, propulsive, protagonist-driven action movies anymore? I think we're starting to get there, but I think that the issue is that it needs to be, nowadays, it needs to have more of a hook. It needs to be a high concept. Like, you know, Glenn Powell is kind of going to be in a movie like this fall, The Running Man, that's based on IP, but, you know, another Man on the Run movie, but it has to be like some big game show setting.
It's a dystopian, like, Hunger Games-esque.
Yes. Yeah. It can't just be man wrongly accused on the run, so smart that he's going to piece together the murder of his wife for the cops.
I want to say something right now. I know we talked about the trailer in one of the first episodes of this podcast. I'm actually really nervous about The Running Man. I don't know why. I'm really nervous about it. I actually, after seeing Caught Stealing and after remembering how much I did like that, how much Baby Driver ended up falling pretty flat for me, I was like, no.
I'm a noted Edgar Wright hater, but I'm kind of hyped for that movie just because I like Glenn Powell and Michael Cera. But
I forgot Michael Cera's in it. Yeah, that's right.
He is, and he has a little mustache. He's really having a great year. I love Michael Cera. My first crush. Which just makes so
getting married
much
to
sense.
Someone like me, hypothetically.
Hey, 15-year-old Gabby would have been swooning. 30-year-old Gabby swooning. But I'm not nervous about The Running Man. I think this one could hit. But I hope so for Edgar Wright's sake, because I don't like many of his recent movies. Last Night in Soho. Bad.
Bad, yeah. Fun sequences, bad movie. Dance sequence kind of that is like maybe top tier Edgar Wright style and substance, but
No substance.
No substance. Well, any final thoughts on The Fugitive here? Because I think this was a great watch. I've loved doing this podcast because it's been allowing me to revisit or visit for the first time movies like this, movies I know because of other things. It's always great to see the source material and things like that. So if you haven't seen The Fugitive, highly recommend putting it on at any point because it's a great watch. Yeah.
It is. I actually, you asked me earlier if I had like a big relationship to this movie, and I don't actually. I watched it for the first time during the pandemic, just at random. And I loved it. I had a great time, and I was really excited when this was a you pick. You picked this one, Sight Unseen.
Sight Unseen.
You hadn't even seen it, and you hadn't seen Caught Stealing yet either, and you were like, how about The Fugitive? And actually, it really works.
Yeah.
So claps to you. But no, I think this is a great movie, and I think that people, if you don't know it, you should know it.
Yeah. Some alternative pairings.
What else did we consider?
We're talking about like kind of like on the run movies, some kind of like crazy night movies, or like almost like mystery, not mystery, but like kind of like this like mystery in a sense. Like, I mean, you could see like pairing this with You Wrote Thief by Michael Mann. You think I've seen that?
You haven't?
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything. You have to understand.
That's why we're doing the podcast. This is why the real reason we're doing the podcast, people, is not for fame. It's not for sponsorships. It's so that Evan can enhance his cinematic knowledge. Me too, but I've seen more movies than Evan.
That is true.
Because I'm a loser. But I have seen Thief by Michael Mann. Great movie. Watch the Criterion, Evan. You won't regret it. I thought of Minority Report, a sci-fi Spielberg movie about Tom Cruise being framed for a murder in the future. That also a good movie. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Hot Men on the Run, A Train Robbery Gone Wrong.
If you haven't seen that movie, I think I rewatched it on Letterboxd. I rewatched it when I logged on Letterboxd this year or late last year. I said I applauded in my own home. I love that movie so much. I think when I do my next kind of like round of like thinking of like what I want to own on physical media, normally my approach for owning things on Blu-ray is what movie do I want to watch over and over again that I would love to own, that I'm happy to like lock in and happy to put it on in the background as a comfort watch. Butch Cassidy is I didn't understand it when I first watched it, and the second watch blew me away so much that I'm like, I want to own this. I need to own this movie because I love it so much. I love everything about it. Paul Newman's incredible. I love that as a link to Caught Stealing too. Yeah.
Speaking of movies that we I already own, for the same reason, Thelma and Louise, Hot Women on the Run. Love watching them on that 4K Criterion. See how they run from a young Brad Pitt, or kind of, but and I also thought of After Hours, just kind of as a weird one night movie. Not so much a crime movie, but, a little bit New York underground kind of vibes, an unlikely protagonist type of guy.
Well, yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because when we're thinking about pairings, it's been really interesting to see the Letterboxd 4 favorites come out, either from the director or some of the stars when they promote the movie, because sometimes they're talking about more of their 4 favorites in relation to the movie they're promoting. So, for example, Austin Butler said that for Caught Stealing, After Hours was a big one for him, and it makes sense. And fun fact, there's an actor who plays a bar owner, I think, in After who plays a bar owner here, Paul, in
Griffin Dunn.
Griffin Dunn, yeah. So great to see that.
Nice link.
Austin Butler also said The Big Lebowski, which I think is a really great link. I was like surprised that we hadn't hadn't come up in our discussions too. Just like that kind of like convoluted, like what's going on here. Also, like I mean, Coliseum takes place over what, maybe 3-4 days.
Yeah,
Which then
short time frame.
you're like, wait, how did Russ go to England and come back? You know.
Yeah.
Regardless. Other movies that came to mind for me, the Long Goodbye could be a fun one. You know, that's also the you know, kind of setting him up to be putting him in a very interesting place is all I'll say about that movie, because maybe we'll
Great LA movie. Great
LA movie.
70s LA movie. Great
Yeah.
cat movie.
Oh,
Another
also,
good link.
yeah.
Amazing cat in that movie.
Yeah, amazing cat. The cat plays a pivotal part of that story, actually. Under the Silver Lake, it's come up before,
Oh
but
my
that's
God.
an
No, we
interesting
can't.
one.
We can't do it.
Under the Silver Lake, Marriage Story, Smurfs, 3D. These are the movies that we will eventually link to on this podcast. And then one that I was texting you about but didn't get to hit send on was Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
another Spielberg. That's a good one. That
Yeah.
would have been, yes, a literal on the run movie. It's in the
Yeah.
title.
And also, I mean, great link with The Fugitive too, where there's the scene of where the person on the run calls their chaser. It's a great, that Tom Hanks DiCaprio scene, because they're both alone on Christmas, and so
it's
good.
A Christmas movie. We should do that around
movie.
Christmas.
Oh yeah, the Christmas can. We're gonna do Spider-Man: No Way Home and Catch Me If You Can.
Together?
Yeah, together.
Okay.
Anyways, that's it for us today. This was had such a great time talking about these two movies together. If you're listening to us on audio, make sure you leave a review or comment on your podcast platform of choice. Don't forget to check out the video versions of these on YouTube at Back to the Future Pod. I've gotten some good feedback about how people listen to when we're changing the background. They're like, what are they even talking about? So I imagine it must be pretty fun to listen to and then come back and watch it. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod, and on Instagram at Back to the Future Pod. What's coming up next week, or what's coming up next episode?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Evan. Next week is for the real heads. It's for the film bros, the film babes alike. We are covering Highest to Lowest, Spike Lee's latest joint. And I believe at Evan's request, we are covering it with its loose source material, Akira Kurosawa's High and Low.
Let's do it. I mean, I had a great time watching Yojimbo and Fistful of Dollars back to back years ago. So I think this will be another really good thing. I don't know. Have you seen High to Low?
High and Low, or High
and Low? Sorry.
I haven't actually.
Oh, perfect.
And you know what? I am on my way today to purchase the Criterion 4K of High and Low, because I am that confident. I'm gonna blind buy. I think it's gonna be pretty great. I'm gonna do a true double feature with Highest to Lowest when it releases on Apple TV this week.
Woo.
It is playing in theaters, but you know, your girl's got to work, and it's not included on AMC A-list, so it's not convenient for me to get to a landmark theater, unfortunately.
Yeah. I can't believe you're going to watch Regretting You in theaters, but not Highest to Lowest.
We're gonna watch Regretting You in theaters. We're going together. We're gonna get very drunk for that screening. We have to.
Listen, bring Ariel. We can invite people. We can make a whole thing out of it.
Let's do it. Let's do that. That's our first Patreon episode, is Regretting You Wasted. Subscribe.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time. See ya.
Bye.